As the game's newest map, Paris is still a mystery to most teams. The ideal composition for this map has not yet been set in stone. However, one team that has apparently put a lot of time into this map are the Dallas Fuel, with assistant coach Jayne revealing in his vlog that they've spent over 40 hours on this map alone. The Baptiste bunker is quite a simple setup. All you have to do is set up a Bastion behind Orisa's shield in a spot that overlooks the main routes to the point, while having your Baptiste throw out heals and immortality fields to keep your team alive. So why is this composition so popular on Paris in particular? Point A of Paris is quite unique geometrically. There is only one way into the point for most characters, and that is through this choke here. There also happens to be a platform directly facing the choke, perfect for a Bastion to spam damage into his targets from. Hence, it's not surprising that we would see teams up here. And indeed, it is the most popular spot for teams to run this composition from. However, the Dallas Fuel have instead opted to place their Baptiste bunker in a completely unconventional spot, right here. But why do this? Is this even any better than the conventional position? We'll find out on this installment of Behind the Action. First, let's break down the new position. As we can see from the Toronto game, Dallas actually began in the conventional spot, but rotate away to the new one once they see Toronto has gone to a Sombra Genji dive comp. They most likely wanted to get some early damage onto any scouting characters from Toronto, such as Sombra and Wrecking Ball. They will be confused when they come back with a composition they want and see that Dallas has moved. This position is powerful, as the composition's back is to a wall, removing one of the main weaknesses of the original position, which was that it was easy for characters like Sombra and Tracer to come up from behind and flank. The main entrance is covered by Orisa and Bastion, while the back door is easily covered by the Fuel's supports. The high ground overlooking the doorway into this room is also perfect for the supports to pump heals into their teammates, while protecting them from poke damage and a potential dive. If the enemy do choose to dive this high ground, as the Toronto Defiant do, the long distance they have to walk through the rooms gives Dallas times to rotate their Bastion and Orisa to the high ground to better protect their supports. The much longer distance Toronto have to jump allows Zachary to kill Yakpung just seconds after the fight begins, as it is hard for Envy to keep up with the defense matrix. Now, let's take a look at the heroes the Fuel are playing. They have Orisa and Winston as tanks, with off-tank player Note switching over to Orisa. Then, they have Bastion and Pharah as DPS, and Mercy and Baptiste as the supports. Let's go through these changes one by one. First, the tank line. Orisa is obviously able to refresh her shield much faster than a Reinhardt constantly taking poke damage can, and her low mobility complements Bastion's well. But Winston is an interesting pick, as he cannot remain with the Bastion to protect him for long periods of time. This is because he has a massive hitbox, and his bubble only has 600 health, going on a 13-second cooldown after being used. Despite this, Dallas's main tank OGE knows exactly what he's doing. Let's take a look at how Toronto attempted to break this defense. They've gone for a Sombra Genji dive, their plan being to Diva Matrix Winston as he jumps in, Genji to dash through both Orisa and Bastion, dealing huge damage, and then deflect enemy projectiles, while the rest of the players continue to pump damage into Zachary. But watch what OGE does here from the Paris game, which we'll take a closer look at later. As the enemy dive in, he jumps onto his own Bastion, allowing him to do jump pack damage to the Winston, Diva, and Genji. Then, he uses his bubble to give an additional layer of shielding to the Bastion, preventing damage from all sides. This means only Winston can actually damage Bastion now, unless the rest of the players move inside the bubble. All this keeps Zachary alive and allows him to remain in sentry form and continue dealing damage to Paris. Next, we're going to look at their DPS line. Bastion is of course standard, but AKM's Pharah is the one we're looking at. From his position in the sky, he can easily put out damage onto Toronto supports, which is not easily blocked by them, making it more risky for them to peel out and heal. Dallas choose to play Mercy here to support AKM's Pharah. The idea is Mercy can damage boost both Bastion and Pharah for poke damage, as well as being able to get massive value from her Valkyrie in a group fight. And her res allows her to potentially swing a fight if one of Dallas's members has been picked off early.
Push forward, Ivy straight in behind Zachary. But Yakpung has already been taken down, and Ivy's got a sliver of HP. There is no way to mitigate this amount of Bastion damage
onto a Winston with the comp they're running.
Orisa-Baptiste primarily has to keep Zachary up, as well with the immortality field and his massive splash healing. Furthermore, his amplification matrix makes Bastion even deadlier, allowing Bastion to melt a dive before it even starts. Dallas switched this up a bit for their game against the Paris Internal, running Sombra instead of Pharah. The objective here is to hack one of the divers, preventing them from using their abilities and allowing Bastion to easily take them out. For example, take a look at this attempt by the Eternal to break the bunker. Paris jumps in, and OGE jumps on top of his own Bastion with the shield. Off to the right, AKM Hex Jayne, preventing him from using his deflect, and Zachary scoops up the kill. Aside from this, Sombra can also take time off the clock by hacking one of the members and forcing them to wait for the hack to wear off before diving. The final function of Sombra is to hack the health pack in the room Dallas have set up in. With this health pack hacked, Paris have no way to replenish their health during the dive, aside from heals, which can be blocked, while Dallas can get even more healing from the rapidly regenerating health pack. Also notice the positioning of Dallas's supports. Closer and Unco are on the high ground to avoid taking poke damage and being dived easily. The enemy team needs to get a lot closer, no pun intended, to get to Dallas's supports, which gives Bastion an open field to fire across. Dallas know a full dive is the quickest and most efficient way to break a conventional bunker comp. Therefore, all their abilities are dedicated towards destroying the dive as it comes in. So how does one break this bunker? Actually, it's quite simple, and it doesn't even involve goats. Dallas Fuel's assistant coach and Team Canada coach Jayne once talked about how EMP Nanoblade is a pretty good way to break any cheese comp. It also happens to work quite well against this. All you have to do is hack the Bastion out of Sentry form, give Genji a Dragon Blade, and everyone jumps the Bastion together. And that's exactly what Paris did, and they didn't even need the nano.
There as well, bear in mind, Zachary finds to go beyond towards Cruz again. Good focus towards the supports by the field. But Danye now has the Dragon Blade. Two for him, and he's looking for more. Unco is in his way, but Danye, it's OG to the rescue. Big Brother says no, but eventually Unco had to succumb. Pressure from Cloudy, but notes.
Toronto break this bunker in 2 minutes as well, using neither the EMP nor Dragon Blade. Still, OGE almost brought the fight back from the brink, and Dallas still managed to take about 3 minutes off the clock. And had it not been for Orisa and Bastion rotating away at the start of the fight when they really didn't need to, they might have dealt enough damage to force Paris to wait and restabilize. But what do you think? Is this version of the Baptiste bunker better than the more common one? Will we see more teams take use of this strategy? Tell us your thoughts in the comments section below.